All right, the second state that was requested by a viewer for the congressional district analysis was Nevada. I would say Nevada, I think, is a little more compelling than Colorado. Not by much, but I'd say that you first have to narrow down which districts are not exactly going to be that competitive. So let's first talk about the second district, which is where Mark Amodei is. Mark Amodei has won, let's see here, 4 elections, including a special election there, most of them by a 58-36 margin. So we're not gonna. I don't believe that this is a very competitive district. Amodei is a GOP congressman, and I don't anticipate it being very competitive. Other districts. Let me see here. This one, the first congressional district, which is here, the Las Vegas metro area here in Clark County. Clark County is the only real heavily populated county in Nevada. I mean, there's the Reno area, which is, I guess, up in Washoe County, but you can see it's pretty large county. So yeah, she's also not going to have a very strong challenge, Dinah Titus. And she's faced, first of all, look at the primary turnout. In their race, there was more than double than there was in the Republican primary. I'm not going to say that this is always an indicator, but you have to pay attention to primary turnout. Even if you think that your district has kind of a grassroots movement, if people aren't willing to turn out and choose the person that is going to be the challenger, then I don't know what you're expecting for them to come out and show up for somebody that they just discovered within a couple months of the election. That's not really my experience. And you can actually see that there's not much to report in terms of the campaign contributions, because the only person for whom the data actually has been posted, at least on Ballotpedia, is Dinah Titus. And if you look at the past elections, 2016, she basically blew away her challenger. And again, people like to think about, identity politics or whatever. Well, she's facing a woman this year, and she faced a woman in 2016, Dinah Titus. So you can claim all these issues where she's not as big of a the people don't really care about identity politics as much as we think. That's what I think, because in the end, she's beaten women in both of these races. Here was Annette Tejero in 2014. So yeah, that makes 2 out of the 4 districts not very competitive in my opinion. But we can't just count all of our eggs before they hatch. But yes, let's say the second and the first congressional districts. Here you see 2 and 1. These 2 are not really going to be easy to flip for either of the parties. There's a GOP district, and this one's a Democratic district. Now for the ones that are a little more interesting. So in the third district, you had Jackie Rosen retiring. And she had, so this is considered a swing district. And in 2016, Jackie Rosen was able to survive the election, defeat Danny Tarkanian. Tarkanian is actually the son of the former UNLV Running Rebels basketball coach, Jerry Tarkanian. I'm a huge college basketball fan. I remember reading, now Jerry Tarkanian was a bit before my time, but I do remember reading about his team and the run to I think they won the title in 1989. It's a very interesting team. Forget who was it's on the tip of my tongue who was the star player. I really, I should remember this, but I don't. But yes, for him, it's been kind of, he did have a big challenge to win this primary because he'd already been he'd been a candidate the previous time, and there was a fairly close turnout between the Democratic and Republican primaries. And you can see, there's going to be now that again. So this is an open seat. You have Susie Lee who's going to be running, and she's probably going to be a very strong Democratic candidate, and she comes a little more from the public administration side. She is for Obamacare, so I'm gonna have to say personally that's a no from me. I've made it clear that Obamacare must be dismantled almost all the way. Those people who think that the pre-existing conditions thing is necessary, you can. I mean, I think personally that the policy as a whole, the Affordable Care Act, if you're defending that policy, that's something I'm not going to ever support you. Now, Danny Tarkanian, I would say, of course, I think he's a better candidate personally. The issue here is, do Nevada residents really support Donald Trump so much? I don't know. I think that Nevada is one of the real swing states for the moment, statewide. Unless there's some sort of major economic depression and Las Vegas goes underwater again. In terms of, I remember during the Great Recession there was like a concern a lot of the big casinos there would close down. But at the moment, I think Tarkanian does have something to look forward to. I think he could win. They don't have much polling from this district. Tarkanian is actually not raising as much money as Susie Lee here, but she's spending a lot of money, and yet I believe that unfortunately this is an issue in this type of race. And if you want to call me weaseling right now, I'd be fine with that, but hear me out for a second. It is important to raise money for congressional races, but you did see, for example, in 2016, on the national level, there was a major disparity where the Democrats were just raising tons and tons of money, and yet it did not really penetrate because on the grassroots level, the Republicans, and specifically Mr. Trump, now President Trump, what was reaching out to people directly and saying, coming to their communities and saying, giving his whole pitch, and people really, really, really did that resonated with them, and I believe that Trump was actually there in the last 4 or 5 days. In fact, he was in Nevada, probably specifically to help out with Tarkanian winning this seat. And I have to say, I think that that's really what he would have to do in order to get the best result. He has to go to districts like this. I think it would benefit him to go to many districts like this. There was one in New Hampshire. I think it's the New Hampshire 1st District. I said in one of the previous videos, he should try and go there if he wants to win it. Well, what do the Democrats have on their side that compares to that? They have only a couple figures that can come and mobilize people at all. And, first and foremost would be Barack Obama. Like him or hate him, he's the most recognizable Democratic figure at the moment. The most recognizable one that has a positive image among Democratic supporters of most different persuasions. Of course, you also have Senator Bernie Sanders, who's not a Democrat, but he's been supporting a lot of progressive Democratic candidates. To my knowledge, he's not really backing this Susie Lee candidate. I don't think that you're going to get much of a participation from somebody like Bernie Sanders in this race. And aside from them, who else is really going to mobilize voters? Okay, I'll tell you what. A lot of people think that the Democratic Party is rich in talent in terms of people who can come out and promote the party. But that's an illusion, okay? You have a lot of celebrity endorsements on the Democratic side. from all sorts of people. I remember when John Ossoff was running for Congress in Georgia, trying to win a campaign in, I think it was DeKalb County, Georgia. And there were celebrities flying in and trying, going and doing door knocking and trying to get people to vote for the Democratic candidate. He still lost, and they invested a tremendous amount of money in that race. So Susie Lee, I hate to say it, but I do think that she has a great chance of losing this election to Danny Tarkanian. And if you think I'm wrong, look, there's just, first of all, this is a district that did vote for a Democrat in Congress for the 2016 election, but they voted for Trump for president. That's not too common. So I would say that there was a 50-50 chance of them winning it. In fact, if you look at the past elections, let's see how many there are. So Jackie Rosen won last time by about 1%, which is fine. In the previous election, Joe Heck had won by a 60-36 margin. This guy is a Republican. He ran for Senate in 2016, by the way. So the Republicans can certainly try to get back to where they were before. It's not going to be easy, and I would say that they can't just depend on Donald Trump. He can't fly into Nevada all the time. Okay, I would say that some of the things that he's got in the works, maybe another visit to meet with Kim Jong-un, they would boost some support for him at a certain level. But in the end, you do have to get core voters out. You have to get them to support the agenda. Let's look at some of the turnouts from the previous races. In 2014, you had 145,000 with Joe Heck winning, and then in 2016, you had 300,000 with Jackie Rosen winning. So this isn't exactly a race that is predictable. Now of course, now that it's a midterm, the question will be whether the Democrats are able to mobilize voters to the degree they did in 2016 to defeat Danny Tarkanian for that seat. I think that it's notable that Tarkanian has earned a few more votes in the primary this year than in 2016, which was an election year, a presidential election year. So, it's going to be him basically trying to redeem. I think it's kind of surprising that he lost in 2016. So he's going to have to try to redeem himself in that respect. Let's see. In the primary, she did earn more votes, Susie Lee, but she was probably the consensus pick for the party. So we'll see what happens with that one. The 4th congressional district, which is over in between the largest population areas of Reno and Las Vegas. So you only have like a few towns and mostly like open country in these areas. So, I think I forgot to mention though. This is interesting. I believe it's in the 1st district. It's in the 1st district, I believe, that let's see if we can open a new one. You have that brothel owner running. What's the guy's name? I think it's like Dennis Hoft or something. Yeah, that's gonna be funny. We'll see how he does. If he gets enough, basically, if he gets enough enthusiasm, who knows? No, it wasn't that one. I'm wondering where that was. I think his name is Dennis Hoft. So I don't remember. Sorry for that little distraction. the Bunny Ranch owner, that guy. I could have sworn he was running for Congress, but it doesn't matter. The 4th district election is also going to be it's going to be kind of competitive. Crescent Hardy was she's running to regain her seat, which she lost in 2016, and Steve Horsford is basically running to this is like the funny part. You have 2 former members of Congress who are trying to get their seat back. I think Horsford is currently maybe no, the guy who's holding the seat right now, his name's Ruben Cohen. He had to resign, I believe, because he's I think he's just like he had some sort of sexual harassment case. Let's see what this guy looks like. Yeah, I remember this guy. Yeah, he's gonna have to resign. So yeah, he's not going to. He said he refused to resign, but he's not running for re-election in 2018. So with everybody talking about the whole Me Too crap and Brett Kavanaugh, this is a guy who refuses to resign from Congress. He's only saying, well, I'm not going to run for re-election. Nancy Pelosi asked him to resign, and he never did. So that's who the Democrats had until now over there. Now, Crescent Hardy. Oh, so it's a guy. I thought that was kind of a. I didn't think that that's a guy's name. So sorry to you, Crescent. But this guy is going to be. He basically has kind of a challenge here. Now he had to deal with a little more of a varied field in the primary, but yeah, the Republicans still have like less turnout in the primary, which I hate to tell people, but it's still important. You can say it's not, but it is. You have to have people engaged throughout the election process that kind of connect with the candidate, make kind of and this guy who has been in Congress before, there's just not that. I don't know where the excuses come from. Okay, so some of these people are stuck in the mindset of running the way that things were in like the 80s and 90s, sending out mailers, putting a few ads on TV. These people are the picture of the past. And this Crescent Hardy, if the Republicans would have nominated somebody who is a little more of a spring chicken, I think that this would probably be more of a sure. He was added to the young guns list, Crescent Hardy. I don't think that I think that might actually be kind of a waste of time. So all I'm saying is, if you're one of these older Republicans, you really have to set yourself apart. And the fact is, I think that if he loses this race, this Crescent Hardy, it's a sign that the GOP does have to revamp its entire image and kind of go for something different. Not these older kind of just establishment-looking figures that have been running for years and years and years. And in this case, he's kind of a retread anyway. So please, I would say, if you don't know who these candidates are and you live in those districts in Nevada, yeah, you should probably go and take in a couple live events for Horsford and for this Crescent Hardy dude. Also, I think in it was the 3rd district race, you had like a kind of a competitive situation. Susie Lee versus Danny Tarkanian. Those are 2 districts that are very interesting, and they could flip to the GOP. So people are talking a lot about a blue wave and things like that. If you're from either of those districts, the 3rd district and the 4th district in Nevada, please let me know in the comments. I think it's a very interesting state. Just don't hear enough about it here especially here in the Midwest. We don't really hear about Nevada at all. except for if somebody's been, you know, so, somebody lost their entire paycheck in Las Vegas. They come back and they're like, I gotta work double shift like for 5 weeks in order to get back to. Yeah, that's what we hear about Nevada. I know Nevada is a much larger state than people than just Las Vegas. So yeah, let me know. Please comment below when this uploads. Share the video, like the video, and subscribe to this channel. Subscribe also to my other channel, Razor Ray Live Wounds, which the link should be in the description below. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great Sunday morning and the rest of your week.